All right, welcome to Tuesday Night Talks. I'm Samuel Lee Reed II, Executive Director of the Atlanta Citizen Review Board, ACRB. The
And
ACRB is an agency within the city of Atlanta that responds to citizen complaints against Atlanta police and corrections officers. We were designed to provide citizen oversight of misconduct allegations against sworn members of the Atlanta Police and Corrections Departments. Following the senseless shooting death of Katherine Johnson in her Vine City home by corrupt APD officers in 2006, the city of Atlanta structured our agency to make sure your voice is heard, that your complaints are fully investigated, and that we monitor local police procedure on behalf of citizens. So I wanted to get that out there. So what the ACRB is about is addressing your concerns about Atlanta police and corrections officers. And so these Tuesday night talks are really an opportunity for the agency to be able to have this forum so citizens can ask questions, express concerns, and have that direct communication with me, the executive director, with members of my staff. We're planning to have these Tuesday night talks every other week, with this being our first one, July 13th. Today is July 13th. Yep. And the next one would be July 27th. So before I get started talking, I want to introduce Melissa Jane Baptiste, who is a new member of our staff and who will be assisting me during these Tuesday night talks. Melissa, what do you have to say?
thank you so much, Lee. Thank you for this opportunity for us to actually have the moment to speak on a lot of different facts and letting people know about us. I'm really excited for this new program and this new segment. I think it's going to be really beneficial for everyone to really get that opportunity to ask those questions in a free and open space with no judgment and with no problems ahead of us. So I'm really excited to get started, and hopefully we have a lot of great conversations down the line with this segment.
Great. So, a while back, there was some concern that community members had expressed about the ACRB bringing an officer back onto the Atlanta Police Department. And particularly the officer involved was Officer Rolfe. And he was reassigned back to the police department by the Atlanta Civil Service Board. I bring that up because the ACRB is not the Atlanta Civil Service Board. Our main focus and our job, our authority is centered around investigating police officers and corrections officers, and then the decisions about their termination or discipline or any corrective action is handled by the police department. And should an officer return back to the force if they've been terminated, that is handled by the Atlanta Civil Service Board. I know the names sound familiar, the acronyms sound familiar, ACSB, but we are ACRB, Atlanta
Right.
Citizen Review Board.
Thanks so much for that clarification. I know there was an issue earlier, I think a few months earlier when they reinstated that officer back in May. And we got a lot of calls thinking that we were that agency that reinstated that officer. So just to be clear, the Atlanta Citizens Review Board, the ACRB, is not the Atlanta Civil Service Board, the ACSB. Definitely sounds the same, but we are not the same people.
Right, exactly.
Right.
So, people often ask, okay, so what does the ACRB do?
Right.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about that for a minute. The ACRB investigates and mediates your complaints. ACRB does not have authority to reinstate civil servants, as I just mentioned, and we do not prosecute or discipline police officers. But the board does vote to recommend disciplinary action on sustained complaints to the Atlanta Chief of Police or the Chief of Corrections. We have investigators with a combined total of of more than 30 years of experience working cases. The law gives them access to all the evidence that the police have on your incident, from body and dash camera footage to incident and medical records. We had the power to bring in and question the APD officers and other witnesses about their involvement or what they observed. Now, it's clear that we let people know the ACRB are not police officers. There are no police officers working in our department. We're not connected with the APD or have any affiliation with law enforcement. We are citizens, just like you. We're independent and transparent. We are a City of Atlanta agency, and we're located in Atlanta City Hall. Now, I said two words earlier, independent and transparent. Important concepts when you think about investigations.
Right.
You know, the independency is that when we receive a complaint and we're investigating it, we work that file from the moment that complaint comes in through the entire investigation, meaning that our people do the investigations, they do the interviews, they get all of the information. And then when it goes to the board, who are citizens as well, they make the decision based on the investigation and the facts that were uncovered during the investigation. The other term I use, transparent. Unlike many law enforcement departments, we intentionally focus on providing information to the public, providing information about our investigations, providing information about the results of the investigations, providing information about how we conduct our investigations. We want the citizens to have that information so that they can make decisions about the actions of the officers. They can express their concerns to the elected officials, to the police department, when they read these files and hear about the determinations and the responses from the police department. So those are two terms that we definitely want citizens to know and understand: independent and transparent. I mentioned when I was talking too about the board, the Atlanta Citizen Review Board has the benefit of not only having city staff, but a citizen board that represents the diversity of the city of Atlanta. Our board members are appointed by elected officials. They're appointed by community organizations. They're appointed by social serving organizations, social justice organizations. And we currently have 13 board members, and we're authorized for 15. The last two that I just mentioned, the 14 and 15, are citizens who will be between the ages of 18 and 30. So we want to make sure that we get in a full representation of the city of Atlanta. I think, Melissa, I think that was a great addition to our board to include 18 and 30-year-olds, because that was an age group that we in the past had not always had.
And knowing just the history of people being out, that age group alone is definitely one that comes in contact and has a lot of encounters with any type of police officers at times, hanging out with friends. So I think it's very important that we have that type of representation coming from that generation and my generation, pretty much to speak, because I am in that age group. I am in between that 18 to 30. I'm still within that still.
Okay.
So, having the opportunity to really be heard by an organization like this on issues that are so prominent, and it comes in conversation every day now, especially since the year we had in the summer we had last year. So it's really great to be seen and to be heard just in being a part of that age group. So I think it's something that we definitely have to shed light on and really be happy for, that we have those 2 board members coming on to represent us.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
So moving on with what we do, since you explained to us exactly what the agency is about and how we try to help the community, can you explain for us just a little bit how the complaint process goes? And if I had a complaint against a police officer within the city of Atlanta, how could I go about actually making that happen and letting you all hear my complaint?
Yeah, yeah, great, great. You know, we're also about open access. So we try to make sure whatever way a citizen needs to contact us about a question, concern, complaint, that they have a means to be able to do that. So we'll accept complaints through email. We'll accept complaints through phone calls, which is 404-865-8622, or on our website. We have a button up there on the website that says file a complaint. Click it, it'll take you to the complaint form that you can fill out online, and you can file a complaint like that. And our website, though, is acrbgov.org. We also accept walk-ins. Well, right now, since City Hall is closed, we're not taking any walk-ins, but as soon as City Hall opens back up, citizens can come up to the 9th floor in the City Hall tower and file a complaint with us there. One of the great benefits of that is, of our complaint process, you don't even have to really know if you have a complaint. You might think you have a complaint.
Right.
Contact us. We'll go through the information that you provide to us and identify those areas where a complaint may exist. Our complaints are based on violations of, or alleged violations of, police policy. We look at all the policies, we look at what you said, and then we'll determine the allegations that would need to be examined. So once you file a complaint, at that point, you would need to sign the complaint.
Okay.
And once you sign the complaint, then we'll initiate our investigative process. Now, when we talk about initiating the investigative process, we're talking about this: the investigator would take your statement, a recorded statement from you.
Okay.
The investigator would assemble all of the information, all of the information from the police records, meaning the incident report, any supplemental reports, any use of force reports, any reports that's generated during the course of that incident would be looked at. Also, we'll look at the body worn camera footage, any body worn camera footage of all the officers that were on the scene, any dash cam footage. We would also interview any witness officers, any subject officers, meaning the officer that you filed a complaint against.
Right.
Any witnesses in the community that may have seen or heard what happened, they would be interviewed. So all those things we would do. Yes.
One question that comes up when I think about that investigative process, and knowing that we're going to disclose a lot of information, my name, the officer's name, do I have to worry about any type of retaliation or anything that could happen in regards to the officer knowing that I filed a complaint on them? Or do I need to watch my back after I cross that line with the blue? Because I feel like I may have honestly felt some type of way and done wrong in a situation. I just don't want it to come back to me in a bad light.
Hey, that's a good question, and that's a very real concern that citizens have about filing a complaint against a police officer. I'm going to tell you this, to be really honest with you. I've been with the agency since 2012, and since 2012, believe we've had one or two reports where a citizen felt like they were retaliated against, right? Neither one of those did it turn out that there was retaliation. Here's the thing. if you file a complaint and let's say something happens with another officer, it may not be related to that
Right.
complaint. And if you get in a ticket related to stopping a sign, if it's a violation of a proven violation, the officer would have had the right to stop you for that proven violation. Retaliation, when we think about retaliation, we definitely looking at that officer or officers within that sphere that their only contact with you was from the filing of that complaint, that we can connect the filing of that complaint. But that's not to discount the fears and concerns about retaliation. And to address that, the agency has the authority to accept anonymous complaints. If someone is really fearful of retaliation, they can file the complaint anonymously.
I like
The
that.
only challenge with filing a complaint anonymously is that when you file with us anonymously, you will need to provide all of the information because we will not have another means to get in contact with you.
Right.
We won't be able to interview you. We won't be able to follow up on anything. And that's to really ensure that we don't have any of your information in the system, other than the person involved in the incident. Now, mind you, if you are involved in the incident and you're filing your complaint anonymously, we will make a request for the subject for the victim of the complaint or not. If we're going off a report, we would need to file we would need to try to speak with that citizen, right?
Okay.
And if we can't, that might hold us up, but we're still going to continue with the investigation.
Right.
And the funny thing about investigations is that when we conduct an investigation, we look at everything involved in the incident. So a person may come in and file a complaint about force that's used, and as we're doing our investigation, we uncover other things that were violations, and so we address those as well. So getting back to what I was talking about, the process and what occurs during the process, the investigators, once they've gathered all of the documents and the interviews,
Right.
then they start compiling a report and the facts of the case. Those facts are supported by the evidence that was uncovered, meaning the statements, the reports, the video cameras, and all that. And then they'll compile their report. Once they've compiled their report, it's reviewed by the investigations manager, it's reviewed by me, and then we set it for a hearing date where the board will actually receive that file. They'll read through the entire file. Some of our files can be like this, and some of them can be like this. I mean, it depends on what type of allegation is involved and how many officers are involved. These are not, name, date, number type of investigations. These are, I'm pulling back the covers, let me see what's happening underneath type of investigations and putting all that stuff down. So when the board receives that, they review all of that information, and then on the hearing date, they will make a decision on each allegation, whether it's sustained, not sustained, exonerated, or unfounded, or if it needs to be dismissed. And then once they made their decision, they go to the police department for the decision to decide if the officer should be disciplined or not. So that's really it. That's really the investigative process in a nutshell. Um, you know, these investigations are serious and thorough. We don't want to leave anything uncovered. We want to make sure that we're addressing the concerns that the citizen brought to us and any concerns that pop out that the citizen may not even be aware of. Because
Right.
at the end of the day, it's about how do you ensure that we have the best officers on the streets. That's from minor violations to big violations.
Right.
We want to make sure that everything is being addressed.
And having that oversight over law enforcement lets us know that there is some type of checks and balances, and power isn't being overhanded to one entity or one department. So it's really good that we're in place. But a question that came upon myself as you were going, so typically we go ahead and let's say we get that complaint put in. What's the typical time frame for us to actually get that complaint reviewed, looked at, and heard?
Yeah, you know, our goal is complete investigations within 180 days. I'm pushing for it to be 120 days. Depending on the complexity of the investigation, depending on, when I say complexity, I mean the number of officers involved, how many body worn camera footages we need to look at, how many witnesses in the entire scope of the investigation are involved, can make a difference in how long the investigation can take. Another thing that can really impact the timing of the investigation is if the officer's actions are being considered for criminal charges. The one thing that we have to always express to citizens is that our investigations are administrative investigations, meaning if they were violations of the policy, that the work rules that the officer operates under.
Right.
The criminal investigations about whether they violate the criminal law. You never want to jeopardize the criminal prosecution for an administrative investigation. So in that case, if an officer is being investigated for a criminal matter related to the incident, we would hold our investigation on the administrative side until that investigation is completed. I do want to stress, though, you want to file, even if a criminal investigation is occurring, you still want to file for an administrative investigation, because our investigations are going to not only look at if there's if something would be criminal, but if it violated the policy, which is where the criminal standard is beyond a reasonable doubt, meaning way up here. The administrative investigations are by the preponderance of the evidence. And so if an officer was able to get off on a criminal standard,
that doesn't mean that
they could still be held accountable for violating the policy.
Right.
And at the end of the day, again, it's about accountability and how do we ensure that we have the best officers on the street and provide opportunities for those officers to either receive correction so that they could be the best officers on the street, or have them addressed in another manner when they no longer need to be on the force.
And I think that really stresses the fact that when we file complaints, it's very important to be as thorough as possible, because we don't know all of the policies. But that's the great thing about us being in place. Not only do we know the policies that and the standards that these officers should uphold, we have that power to go ahead and to make sure, the administrative part of it and that type of how do I want to say, not discipline, but action is taking place. So we know the level. So I think it's also very important when complaints are brought into us that they are descriptive as possible and as detailed as possible, just so we have all of the facts to make sure that, if there's something that went awry or something that went wrong and it could possibly just not be exactly what you came in for, but we found something else. So I think it is very important that we make sure that all of the facts of the case is stated, so we know exactly how to go about it. And having us here is the important thing. It's letting them know that we have the knowledge and we can definitely have some action brought towards it. Now, in the event that I just had very hard feelings about an interaction with the police officer, and I can probably know for sure he didn't break the law, but it just left a really, really disgusting taste in my mouth. I know there's another option that I could go through with the ACRB known as the mediation program. Can you just expound on that and how it differs from the complaint process?
Oh, certainly. Yes, we started a mediation program maybe about 4 years ago. And the value of the mediation program is that it provides this supportive forum space for a citizen and an officer when they agree to mediate a complaint to meet with a third party neutral, meaning someone independent of the Atlanta Police Department and independent of the ACRB, to help them work through, discuss the incident. The goal is that the citizen and officer will both be able to share their perspectives of the incident and hopefully achieve some mutual understanding and have mutual respect coming out of the incident, out of this mediation. The ones that we've had in the past have been quite successful. So I'm really proud of that. We think that we would like to see more citizens and officers take advantage of it because it also is this opportunity to be able to, for officers to understand citizens' perspectives, citizens to understand officers' perspectives, and have an impact that can last well beyond the mediation.
Right.
You know, um, and it's that opportunity to talk and be on equal footing. You know, it's not an issue of who has the power in the mediation because both people are going to be able to speak. Both people are going to be able to express their view, and both people will be able to try to come to some type of agreement that they both can agree on.
Right. And I
So
think
we,
communication is very important just because we we do need to work on those relationships. Though we are citizens and we are for the community, we need our police officers. They're here to protect and serve us. So there, even though we know that there's a known problem with policing in a lot of our Black and brown neighborhoods, that doesn't mean that we're going to just do away with it. We definitely really need to work on the relationships between community and the police. So I think the mediation program really is like a testament to that,
yeah,
that we can't go without them. We definitely need to work with them, and it provides an opportunity to just get some clarification and some understanding on both sides.
and
So
it's about empowerment.
exactly.
It's about empowerment, and it's about understanding that I, as a citizen, matter. You
Right.
know, and I want to let you know how I feel about what happened to me. You know, and the officer has the opportunity to say, "This is why I did what I did." You know, and they can hash it out and figure out, okay, here were the misunderstandings, or here was the breakdown. You know, and I think it's a great opportunity. You know, nobody's making anybody agree to anything.
Right.
They both have to come to that sense of agreement
It's
on their own,
it's
but they're on equal footing for that.
right. We're both meeting up on the terms that we both want to get this done and we both want to work on what happened. So I think it's something really important. And I really love that we have those two programs set in place to really figure out which option and which way the citizen might want to go with it. I think it's something that we would definitely continue to work on and just have the program out there. And I think it's something that we really need to make sure that they hear about. It's
Yes,
it's great,
yes,
a really great program, both of them. Now,
yes,
just getting into some cleanup and some final things. The ACRB always has outreach events, and we're always looking for volunteers to help us spread the word. We're always in the streets, whether it be a block party, concert, parks, church, or socials. So we definitely want to see our community out there giving us a helping hand. Like Lee said, you can always give us a call at 404-865-8622. And we're accepting volunteers all of the time. I think it's something that the cause that we stand for and what we're doing here is really important. And we would love to see more faces. I think it's something that we need to make sure that we have out there and make sure that it's said and done. Um, Also with feedback, we do have a notice on that, Lee. I know feedback is really important to you, and without the citizens, we would not be here. There is no city of Atlanta. So I think it's really important that you all let us know how you feel about all of the work that we're doing out here, whether it be with the podcast or out in the streets, we are very open and very accessible by phone, our website, social media. You can email us, or you can visit us on the 9th floor in City Hall when City Hall does open up. Let us know about your interactions, any complaints that you may have, something that happened within your community that you saw. It doesn't necessarily have to happen to you. You can always make complaints about things that you saw within your community that just did not sit well with you. Let us know. I think it's something that we need to make sure that we have out there and we keep our people connected. You give us an opportunity to better monitor and document the actions and the activities of Atlanta Police Departments.
Great, great. And one thing I wanted to add to that, when we talk about outreach, you know, we believe in, it doesn't matter if it's one person or 100 people. It doesn't matter where it is. Like you were saying, the barbecue, the church, the card game, wherever. We want to be able to let people know that they have this service, and you don't have to deal with that officer on the street.
Right.
Come to us and we'll deal with that officer. You know, we'll deal with the investigation about it.
And we all have family members that have had that run-in or something like that. It's not always something that happens to us directly. So just having the resource and being able to pull that out and, you know, let another fellow friend, family member know of it is something that we need to make sure that we do, keeping the community aspect. So having that outreach and having those volunteers is really, really important to us, making sure we get out here.
Yep, that's right. Well, listen, I'm glad that we had this talk.
It was a great conversation, and I'm really excited to have more and hopefully feature more guests and have more conversations and questions come in about what's going on in Atlanta and with the Atlanta Citizen Review Board and with the Atlanta Police Departments and correctional officers.
And one thing I do want to mention is that, you know, if somebody can't make the Tuesday night talks, you can email us a question that we can discuss it on the program.
Yep.
So and then you can check it out later.
Keeping those lines of communication open, letting you know where you can catch us. We are on all social platforms. We are on Twitter at the ATLCRB, and you can find us on Facebook and Instagram as well. So we're definitely looking forward to those questions and open feedback. You can file a complaint against the police officer. You do not need to take injustice or take matters into your own hands. You have people and a community behind you, and we're here with you. And I'm really excited for all that we have coming. Thank you so much for your time today, Lee.
Thank you, Melissa. I appreciate you.
No problem.